When you look at a majority of credit cards that people have, they are viewed as bad, they are viewed as negative, they are viewed as very high interest. But that doesn't have to be the true factor when it comes to credit cards. They can be used as a tool to build and maintain your credit, improve your score, and give you the ability to actually have the buying power within a very short amount of time to cover your day-to-day expenses. Today's video, we're going to be breaking down credit scores and credit cards and kind of the relationship between the two, starting with the credit utilization. Now we know from previous videos, this is 30% of your score, guys. Now this is how much credit you have outstanding in comparison to how much credit you're actually using, or the utilization number. This is broken down into a ratio. So if I have a card with a $10,000 limit, I carry a $5,000 balance, I am at a 50% credit utilization, which is viewed from credit card companies as negative. It is viewed that I am living outside of my means because I am supplementing my income with credit card debt. Like I said before, it is a utilization. It is a ratio that is really determining the factor when it comes to this, and that 30% that makes up your credit score. So what does this mean big picture? You want to have a card that has a significant limit on it. If it's $5, $10, $15,000, regardless of what it is, you do not want to carry a balance on the card, which means credit utilization is going to remain at zero. And it really is going to be twofold, guys. Number one, with that credit utilization at zero, you're going to have the best possible reporting to your credit score. And number two, if that card is paid down to that zero limit or that zero balance, that means that you're not going to pay interest. Now, for a majority of credit cards, if it is paid in full, you will not pay interest. One caveat to that, guys, you have to be careful because a lot of cards that do come with rewards can come with annual fees. You really have to shop around and figure out what is really going to be the best card for you. And I really do not recommend Dave Ramsey style using cards at all if you carry a balance. Now, I know he talks about, that credit card rewards program has never made millionaires. However, it can pay for and cover significant expenses and really offset some of the things that you're going to buy anyways. But again, it is a tool that needs to be used as such. Number two, we look at the timely payments. Credit card payment history is a crucial factor in creating and maintaining that credit score. This is because credit cards are perpetual, meaning there is no end to them. You can open a card today, you can have it for 10, 20, 30 years with the same institution and building up 30 years of payment history by having that credit card. And as a result of that, that covers the payment history, which of course is 35% of your score. Another 30%, of course, is that credit utilization. Consistently making on-time payments to credit cards will build that positive credit history. With that being said, it really looks at two things when it comes to the timely payments or when it comes to the credit card. One, was there a purchase? Two, was there a payment? And then, of course, the third one is what is the balance that is remaining on the card, which in this scenario, we want to keep and maintain at that zero balance. So that might mean using your card every 2 weeks you get paid, paying off the card entirely, or when you get the bill in the mail, making sure that you always have enough money set aside to, again, pay off that card in its entirety. Number three, we get into credit limit increases. Now, this is, of course, the credit limit increase is what can adjust and what can affect your ratio. Now, this can affect positive and negative, guys. Both sides of this you really have to be careful of, because with the credit limit increase, if that $10,000 card goes to $20,000, it is going to improve the ratios that I have on my card. However, negatively impacting, if I close that card out, I am losing $10,000 of that credit line. If that's one of the only cards, or let's say one of two cards that I have, you could be again messing with that credit utilization ratio, which will have a huge impact on your credit score. If entirely between two cards, I have a $20,000 limit, I have $5,000 on the card, which we talked about earlier. If I close one of those cards out, my utilization ratio goes from a 25%, having that $20,000 line, down to a 50% utilization, and again, having a massive impact on my score. Now, types of credit we look at as number four, guys. Credit card accounts, including having a mix of credit, is really important. Not just all credit cards, but credit cards, installment loans, mortgage loans. You need to have a mix of credit to really build up the score to where you want it to. If your score is primarily and only driven by credit cards, it is going to be pretty limited, and it is going to fluctuate greatly depending on what you build. Now, for a lot of companies, they do want more than one form of the credit mix, really, meaning that credit cards alone are not solely going to drive that score. Number five, we get into the credit cards, and again, closing them out can significantly impact your score because this will impact the total available credit that you have. In addition, if you're closing out credit cards that are older, this could also create a deficit when it comes to that payment history, because essentially, again, if you had that card for 30 years, you're wiping out 30 years of payment history when you close that, and then it will default to the next oldest credit line that you have, which could only be, let's say, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, whatever it could be, which could, of course, potentially lower your credit score by a incredible amount. Now, of course, number 6, we get into the credit inquiries. As you're applying for credit cards are a hard inquiry, which can temporarily lower your card. Make sure, again, that you're really managing the credit. You don't want to be the individual that goes out and opens, 27 credit cards. One or two is really all that you need. Do your research, make sure you know exactly what the card is, what the benefit of the card is, and what you want to get out of it by not carrying a balance. Number 7, we look at the balance transfer and the impact of this. Now, balance transferring between cards, of course, can impact your score. Again, this can mess with a couple different factors. It could see a decrease because of the inquiry. Also, you could see a decrease depending on what the factors are of the new card and also what the available limit of the new card is. If you open a card with a $5,000 limit, you throw $5,000 on it the next day, chances are your score is going to have a pretty decent impact in a negative way that you do not want. Now, credit monitoring services is number 8. If you look at Discover Card, if you look at a majority of the major cards out there, such as Chase cards, they do offer credit scores and they do offer credit monitoring. For a lot of those, they come free, which is another reason, guys, kind of a perk to have a credit card is even with the card that I have, it does monitor all of my credit. So if I do see significant changes in there, I can look and see exactly why, because the credit monitoring is offered free just for the fact that I carry their cards. Number 9, we get into the rewards and the benefits, guys. This is the very, very slippery slope. A rewards card is never beneficial. That is right, guys. Let me say it again. A rewards card is never beneficial if you are carrying a balance. Whatever the rate is on the card is the rate that you're going to be charged. There is not a chance if you're not paying that card off in full. You do not want a rewards card because you are paying for the rewards that that card is offering. I see people that get, 1%, 2%, 3% cash back, carrying an $8,000 to $10,000 balance on a card. That is running about a 26 to 28% increase. That is right, guys. Reward cards usually have a significantly higher interest rate because, again, if you're carrying a balance on that card, you are paying for the rewards that are on that card. There could be benefits that come with it, but again, the only benefit that you're ever going to find, and that is truly a benefit to a rewards card, is if you're only utilizing it to, one, buy things that you're already using, like monthly expenses. For instance, with my card, I put all my regular expenses on there. This includes utilities, this includes the phone bill, this includes the internet bill. Every 2 weeks when I get paid, the card is paid off entirely. I'm not putting excess spending on there. I'm not putting a lot of things that are in excess. I'm really sticking to the budget, making sure that I'm getting rewarded for what I am using. And again, this can come with a great benefit. I actually have a card through M1. I have a link right down below if you do want to check it out. It's called the Owner's Reward Card. So they do offer cash back from a bunch of different companies that can tier as high as 10%. With that being said, they give it back to you in a stock portfolio. That is why it is called the Owner's Reward Card, is the rewards that you get, the cash incentive that you do get from that card goes back into a portfolio that can buy stocks, the VOO, you can buy mutual funds like Dave Ramsey, whatever it is, guys. But as long as I am paying that card off every 2 weeks, I am accumulating stock in companies that I can kind of divest into. And that's exactly what I'm doing. So far this year, we've made about $1,200 in rewards from that card, and it has costed me zero because I have not paid interest, not one single penny in interest on any of my cards in probably almost 15, 20 years. I do not pay interest, but I do reap the benefits of the rewards. That portfolio has grown considerably. My $1,200 in rewards is about $1,700 right now, again, with that growth aspect. And I'm going to continue doing that year over year. And the final one we look at, guys, is credit card debt management. This is the biggest important part, guys. Like I said, you should never carry a balance on a credit card. It should always be zero. I know as a nation, as the United States, we are carrying $0.03 trillion in credit card debt, which is kind of incredible to think about, a staggering amount like that. So there is a lot of credit card debt out there. And of course, when it comes to credit card debt, you're paying probably the highest interest that you will see of anything that you will ever borrow. So get those credit card balances down, guys. Make sure that you're not carrying them, especially if you have rewards cards. Look at how much you're getting in rewards in comparison to how much you're paying in interest on a monthly bill. Really do the math, break it down, guys. See if that rewards program is really worth it. All right, guys, so that'll do it for today's video, and I'll catch you in the next one.